Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are in front of my chair. As you can see, somebody claimed the spot before I could, so she might be in the background a little bit. But hello! How are we doing today? I am so very excited. Not only do I get to talk about an incredible song, but we also get to do a little book tag. So this is inspired by the Monster Mash song, which growing up, my mom and I were very similar in music taste, while yet so wildly different. But our music taste did align on the Monster Mash song and the Love Shack song. I don't know why those two specifically were like roll down the windows, scream the lyrics, just have a full party in the car songs growing up, but those were our songs. And so seeing that the Spinebreakers did a book tag based off the Monster Mash song, I knew I had to do it. So here we are today. We're going to do the Monster Mash book tag. Let me pull up the questions. So the first one is, I was working in a lab late one night. What book kept you up all night? I primarily wanted to think of books to talk about from this year, maybe last year, but I was really struggling. I've had a couple books that were maybe classified as like unput-downable books, but I haven't had a book that I'm like, I have to stay up and finish this because I don't want to put it down. Like, it's really keeping me up. So it's been a while, a hot minute. And it's October, so I have to shout out one of my favorite books ever, which is The Death of Jane Lawrence by Caitlin Starling. Has this author written some flops? Maybe, sure. But there's something about this one specifically that just worked so well for me that I was so obsessed with. This was one of the few books that I could not put down to the point of like reading in bed until 2 a.m. Like, that rarely ever happens to me. I prioritize my sleep, no problem, when I'm not doing a challenge, but I just had to know what was going on in this book. I just had to be in it the whole time. It's so atmospheric. It's gothic. This is an arranged marriage story between Jane and her husband, who is slightly less memorable, but they get married because Jane just wants to work as a bookkeeper, just like be a working woman, does not necessarily want to be in a sexual romantic relationship. She does come off pretty asexual, aromantic for a good portion of the book. Eventually feelings do come between the two of them a little bit, but that's not really the focus of the book. This is a gothic horror novel following a doctor and his new bookkeeper wife, and he has this spooky manor that she's not allowed to visit. And what happens? She has to go visit the manor, of course. You know, spooky things ensue, seances and occult-like things, and just very spooky ooky, but the way that this was told, the way that we progress through everything, and like the ending, especially, just the way that it comes full circle and you're getting this, this is like one of those mind-boggling books that like, I know people don't love it, but I love and adore it. It is one of my favorite. If our lines taste in any way, shape, or form, you have to pick this up for me. I love it so much. It's truly one of my favorite books of all time. Like, up there. Question number 2. My eyes beheld an eerie sight. What is the weirdest or creepiest shit you've read in a book? Now, I have kind of 2 answers from this year. I've read 2 horror books that I was like, whoa. The first one being Bat Eaters by Kylie Lee Baker. This was an adult, I believe, horror debut, for sure. And this is following COVID times where a lot of people were being pretty racist towards Asians of any ethnicity because of COVID being the bat flu that the Chinese brought to everybody. And so this is having conversations about murders that are happening in New York City, but also it's happening during the Hungry Ghosts Festival, which is... My cat is being so silly. Which is a part of, I believe, Chinese culture. I just feel like you shouldn't know a whole lot going into this. Like, Cora Zhang is a really cool character. She's got a really cool group of friends. They are crime scene cleaners, which is really interesting during these times where it seems a lot of Asian women specifically are being murdered in New York. I did really enjoy this, but it wasn't like a incredible favorite book, but a lot of people have felt that way. I think we're going to see this a lot at end of year time. So if you haven't checked it out by now, I think you should. There's some very, very fun horror descriptions in this one. But the main one I wanted to shout out is technically not even a horror book, which is hilarious. It is technically, I guess, a thriller, but it's very contemporary and more mystery weirdness. It's very interesting, and I don't want you to know, again, too much going into it, but it's Julie Chan is Dead. And I don't remember the author off the top of my head. That's my bad. But this was a pick for the Literally Dead book club. I'm going to be super frank and honest with you. I gave this like 3, maybe 3.5 stars. Like, I did not like a lot of the book. I found that the first 50 whatever percent was really uninteresting because it's following a famous YouTube star and just like the lack of grounded in reality that these famous people are going through and feeling, and like the events they go to and whatnot, just was boring to me. And then at the last like 10% we're following like court proceedings, and I also didn't find that to be the most interesting. But there is a portion in the middle that is some of the best horror I've read all year. It was actually so impeccable. Like, some of those scenes just viscerally are going to be in my brain forever, that I'm going to just think about. It's kind of reminding me of Mayfly. If you've read that, I think you would like the horror elements in Julie Chan is Dead as well, but you have to go into it knowing that's going to be like a slower mystery thriller with some weird stuff going on. People comp it to Bunny. I had a couple other things that it reminded me of when I talked about it in my wrap up, but there's just like a lot going on, yet not a lot going on at the same time, if that makes any sense. So I had some issues with it, but the horror elements were creepy and like actually like gave me visceral reactions of just like, no way is this happening. So I do recommend it if you're interested in like learning about that, but it's not really a horror novel. So I just want like your expectations to be in the right place, but like I don't want you to go into it thinking it's just a thriller and then you get these like horrific elements of some pretty nasty stuff. So enter at your own risk, but that is the book. Get a jolt from my electrodes. Name a book that completely shocked or surprised you. Now, I don't find a lot of books to be like so shocking that make me like really on the edge of my seat. A lot of the thrillers I've read this year seem pretty like predictable and safe, which is unfortunate. So nothing really has wowed me and surprised me in that way. But I am twisting this a little bit to be like, a book that I didn't know I would like so much would be The Favorites by Lane Fargo. Everyone's so right about this. This is following two childhood friends to sort of lovers who are figure skaters, who have a traumatic past, who have all of these like ties and connections to each other, but also like she just wants to be a famous Olympian figure skater. And like, oh, the drama in this book is so entertaining. It feels so real. It feels like you're reading nonfiction in a way. It's just incredibly well done. The audiobook is definitely the way to go. I think the narrators do a fantastic job of making it feel more real, but I was surprised that I enjoyed this so much. Like, I gave it 5 stars. It was something that like I didn't want to put down. I constantly was wanting to listen to the audiobook. I was really obsessed. This is one that I can easily recommend to so many people. Like, I think my mom would absolutely love and adore this. It could so easily become a Netflix show, and I think it'd be like a hit sensation. It kind of reminds me of, I think it was a Netflix show, Spitting Out. That's like a same kind of thing, like small town, traumatic childhoods, but also figure skaters. It's very interesting. It's a good show. It got canceled, unfortunately, but yeah, The Favorites was so surprising how much I personally enjoyed it because all of the reviews were so correct. I enjoyed it so much. The guests include Wolfman, Dracula, and his son. Name your favorite monster or villain from a book. Now, many monsters could easily fall into this. Like, I could just blanket statement and say vampires, but I didn't think that was fun enough, so I went with Tully from I Was a Teenage Slasher. This is such a fun take on a slasher. You don't need history of slasher movies. They're not like referenced the same way they are in My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones, but this one is just so much fun. I was captivated the entire time. Like, once I was in this book, I was so in it. I love Tully and his relationship with his best friend Amber. I love how their dynamics with each other. I love this town and the way that we get to see it, and it's kind of written in a way that's like almost shot like a movie, kind of similar to I'm the Final Slasher Girl. I think that's the book. If I remember that one correctly, it was written like a movie as well, but this one a little bit less so. But this one's got kind of like a journal entry feel to it. It's very like direct to reader. It's a letter, and it's so good. It's basically at its simplest of premises is that we are following Tully, who is a supernatural being of a slasher, and just the way that Amber does these like scientifical studies on him to like figure out and deem like what it means to be a slasher is just so interesting and such a fascinating way to write a book. Like, what a cool take. I would love to see this as a movie. It's impeccable. I love the idea of like a slasher being some supernatural being that like has to follow certain guidelines and rules, and it's kind of like a blanket statement like vampires, no garlic, no sun. Slashers run faster with a knife in hand. It's so freaking impeccable. It's so good. I highly recommend this. This was such a blast to read. Highly, 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 highly recommend this. Whatever happened to my Transylvania twist? Name a book that was super hyped when it came out, but no one talks about it anymore. This one might be a hot take. I don't know. You'll have to tell me. But when Silver Elite by Danny Francis came out in May of 2025, just earlier this year, this book was everywhere. Everyone was talking about Danny Francis. Who could this be? The publisher, the potential use of AI, like the industry plan. Like, there were so many controversies and conspiracies around this book that everyone talked about it. And then, nothing. It's been pretty radio silent. Like, everyone who was interested had read this, and everyone who does not care has not picked this up. So many people were talking about this, and now it's just nothing. Like, it's done, it's gone. People picked it up, they read it, and then they were done with it. And, like, same with me. Like, I also read this. I read it way after. Like, I read it, and nobody really cares about my thoughts anymore because all of the discussions had been had. But it was a fun time. It's dystopian. It's got poor comp titles. If you really like Fourth Wing, you'll like this. It is almost the exact same book. But I did overall, like, have a fun time with it, but it wasn't good, if that makes any sense. But I do recommend it if it's something you're interested in. It's going to be, I think, a trilogy, so there's going to be more books to come. Might have more potential in the future books that come out. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, nobody talks about this anymore. Like, the hype came so fast, and just as fast it went, and there was just nothing happening about this anymore. No conversations. The buzz died fast. They did the mash. Name your favorite book that is a mashup of 2 or more genres. Now, am I maybe cheating a little tiny bit for this? Maybe. But I have to talk about one of my favorite books of the year, because that kind of seems to be the theme of this, is talking about some favorites. So we have Immortal Dark. This is by T.S. Germa, and I love this. This is dark academia, fantasy, mystery, romance. Romance is important. Maybe they don't kiss, but it is still at its heart romantic. So this is following a college-age girl, Kedon, and Kedon's sister June has gone missing, and she's like pretty convinced that Susenyos, the vampire of the home that is living on like this college campus type boarding school, is the reason that June has gone missing. And so she's like, I'm going to enroll in this school, even though my mom said to like super stay away, and that I wasn't allowed to like know the language or know the history or have anything to do with like this, the family roots basically. But she's like, I'm enrolling in the school, and I'm going to find out what happened to my sister, because I think it's him. And she has to go to these classes. There's a little bit of trials going on. I found that it was just really interesting. Maybe her motivations aren't always in line with what they should be focusing on, but I love her as a character. I freaking love all of the side characters so much. I was really fascinated with the world. I like the school. I like how much of the class setting we got, but also like seeing the campus and the study sessions. Like, this really worked for me. I know a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people complain that she's just like not focused enough on June and like her sister going missing, but I didn't care. I don't care about June anyway. So like, no sweat off my back. If we took the mystery out, I would still have a good time with this, but obviously it needs the mystery to like have a plot. But I really, really, really like this book. I'm so happy that I read it. I cannot wait for the sequel to come out. I cannot wait to binge this. I do think it's gonna be a trilogy though, so like I still have to wait for the third book, but either way, I'm so freaking excited. You don't even understand. It was a graveyard smash. What's your favorite horror novel? This is so hard. I have many. I already talked about The Death of Jane Lawrence, so I won't repeat too much. But from this year, 2025, I really love Bloom from Delilah S. Dawson. Her novellas hit like no other. You can know the direction something's headed. You can predict what's going to happen, and you're still going to be flabbergasted by the end. You're still going to be like, no way there was more. No way she pulled off this. Like, it's just something about the writing style and the way that the reveals happen. It's just so good. It's so good. So I definitely would say that like of this year, Bloom is probably my favorite horror novel, besides I Was a Teenage Slasher. Death of Jane Lawrence is like an all-time favorite. I talk about Confessions all the time. That's an old classic that I read a couple years ago and still think about constantly and love. But specifically for this year, I would say that Bloom is definitely very high on the list of like favorite books. Okay, the next question I don't have an answer to. It's, the scene was rockin', all were digging the sounds. What's your favorite song based on a book? I don't have any of those. I don't think any song that I listen to is based off books. And if they are, I don't know. I did do like a quick Google search. A lot of like rock bands seem to have done that. Mumford and Sons seem to have based their songs off books at some point. So like they do exist. They are out there. I'm just not familiar with them. As much as I love music, I don't necessarily know like the origins of like where music comes from or like why people write things. So I sadly don't have an answer for that. And then we have Tell Them Boris Sent You. What is your go-to book recommendation? It super depends. I have different answers for different people depending on where they are at in their reading, like what their reading tastes align with. I find like my mom and my coworker who are a bit older, I recommend them often young adult thrillers and mysteries or adult thrillers and mysteries. I find that's always like a safe place for people to start. So like Riley Sager is fantastic. I got my mom really hooked on reading with A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. So it really just depends on like the person. If somebody's coming to my channel and they're like, what should I read? I would recommend some romantasy and either stick with like the tried and true and like say Fourth Wing, or a little bit nicher if you will and say like the Legend of Thesmar series starting with Blood and Steel, like start there would be a good point. Or like if you're still reading YA, The Gissed Heir and The Gissed Crown, because that's a complete duology now. If it comes to like somebody requesting horror, I'd probably say like Bunny or Mayfly, depending on again like their tolerance and what they can handle, because I'm learning that my tolerance for horror and gore is like pretty high. So it really just depends on like who is asking me for what. If we're talking about like my go-to recommendation for 2025 specifically, like the things that I keep shouting about, I would probably say The Throne in the Dark, the Villains and Virtues series by A.K. Kageyano. I love that series. It was so much fun. It lives rent-free in my head. I cannot wait to read the companion series because it just was so much fun for me. So it really depends. At the end of the day, I could recommend so many things. It just really depends on like the person and what their reading tastes are. For you, the living, this mash was meant to. Who do you tag? Whoever wishes to do this. I know that we're pretty like close to the end of October, so you might not have time to squeeze it in, but maybe for next year you can put it on your calendar. But yeah, anyone who's interested in doing this tag, please do it. Tag me, tag the original creators, like we would all love to see it, I'm sure. And then finally, bonus question, what is your favorite thing about Halloween? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Halloween. Now, Halloween as like an actual day, October 31st every year, is not a day that I care about, is not a day that I feel the need to celebrate or do something specific. Halloween to me is basically autumn, but spookified. It's just a scarier version of autumn. It's the same color palette of like warm oranges and muted greens and bright yellows and deep reds. Like that is the color palette of fall to me, but it just extends to Halloween in the sense of like I can throw in some purple. But it's more the coziness of it, the aesthetics of it, the vibes of it. I'm a very much like vibes based person, and so just having cozy nights in, listening to rain, having a thunderstorm while reading on the couch, fires crackling, having warm soups, like watching scary movies, watching comfort nostalgic Halloween movies. God, Halloween has some of the best movies. So it really just comes down to like the way that I can spend 2 months is just like the coziness of it all, like wearing good sweaters and baking pumpkin things. Like that is what Halloween is to me. Like it is my favorite part of it. I don't really care about carving pumpkins. I'll do it, it's fun, but I don't care about that. I'll watch Halloween movies, but it's not a necessity. Like I still enjoy the time of year even without it, because it really is just I love fall and Halloween happens to be a part of it. Like I love having like skeletons and pumpkins all around. Like I love little ghosty things. I enjoy that about Halloween. I don't really care so much about like eating candy and handing it out to trick-or-treaters. It's fun, but it's not a necessity. I don't care about Halloween itself so much as I care about the vibes of the season, you know? I hope that makes sense. But yeah, that's my favorite thing about Halloween. It's just the vibes. But that leads us to the end of this video, the end of the questions. Thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out with me. I hope that you enjoyed. Let me know what your favorite part of Halloween is down below, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye!